Hi, I'm Beth. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Yogi Beth C. This video is the latest in my Lunchtime series. It's number 11, and these are a series of short videos that you can do during your lunchtime or really at any time. They don't require a mat. I do suggest taking off your shoes just to feel the floor underneath you, but even that's not so necessary. Just have a place where you can stand. It's an all standing routine, about 10 or 15 minutes, and you can see the whole playlist I have. All right, well, get started. Today we're going to focus on mobility, so moving around large muscle groups and joints in your whole body. Start standing, have your feet parallel, about hip width. You can adjust wider or more narrow for where you're comfortable. In yoga, we call this mountain pose. And then we're going to start to raise the arms front and overhead, focusing on the movement around our shoulder joints. So that's our shoulder mobility. And then let the arms come down. And as the arms come down, reach them a little bit out behind, kind of like a cape. So it could be a little wider and a little bit out behind. I'll actually step forward a little so I'm not hitting my wall. We'll do this a few times, reaching the arms up and then reaching behind. So you're starting to get a feel for how your shoulders, how the joint around your shoulders feel for today. And then we'll add a few additional elements. Right now, the only place you're moving is around that shoulder joint. Now we'll try to coordinate the breath with this movement. So as you breathe, or as you reach up, breathing in, feeling the breath fill your torso. You might feel that sense of expansion as you reach. And then you can let the breath come out, exhale, as you reach the arms down and behind you. And again, and if you'd like, you can make this a more audible breath, breathing in, reaching, breathing big, and reaching out, maybe opening your mouth and sighing. Sounding is good too. One more like that, and then we'll add one last element. Breathing in and up, and exhaling. Okay, this time we're going to allow a little bit of spinal movement as we move. So this time as you breathe in, reach up, allow your chest to come forward, a little bit of a reach back, maybe you look up a little bit of a back bend. And then as you exhale, rotate or roll your shoulders forward, curve your back into a little bit of a cat shape as you reach the arms back. And I'll turn sideways for the next one so you can see. Breathing in and up. A little bit of a drawing of the shoulder blades together, reaching the chest toward the ceiling, not a big movement in your lower back. Sometimes that can be painful when we're sitting, so really letting the upper back expand. And then exhale, rounding, tucking your tail a bit as the arms go back. You're making kind of a C shape. And we'll do one last time like that, reaching in and up. Think about drawing your shoulder blades together. You might even move your arms wider apart to help you do that. And then exhale, almost like you're taking a little dive, rounding your torso, taking your arms back. And then we'll keep the arms back, but you can bring the torso upright. So I'm going to face you again. So your arms are reaching back, your palms are facing toward each other. Take a moment to maybe engage those shoulder blades a little bit more, the muscles in between the shoulder blades, those pesky upper back muscles. Hold here, and then we'll turn the neck from side to side. So you can do whatever side you want. Oh, don't go to your maximum to start, because you might have to just explore how the neck is feeling. I don't know about you, but I can definitely hear some crunchy sounds in there, and that's okay. That's why we're doing this. Inviting in a little bit more neck mobility. Come back center, and then keeping the arms a little bit of side to side. Now your arms behind you help you prevent your shoulder blades from scrunching up as you do this. So let the arms be relatively soft, even though they're engaged, helping you gently pull your shoulder blades or your tops of your shoulders, your deltoids, away from your ears. After doing a few lateral, a few side-to-side motions, take this into kind of any motion that you like. You could try to do some figure eights with your chin and see how that feels in your neck. If there's one side that was sticky, you can stay in that side and take a few nods or shakes of the head. Keep the movement slow and small. So when we go slow, we have a chance to really observe what is happening. That's our mindful aspect to our yoga practice. All right, when you're ready, start to finish up this movement, and then we'll gradually let the arms come down by the sides. Readjust your feet if you need to, and you might like them a little bit wider for this next movement, a little bit of a wider base, because we'll be moving the torso, the upper body, and starting to invite a little bit more of that mobility into our hip area. Let's place the hands on the hips, and we're going to keep our feet really planted as we start to circle our torso. So at first, these circles are really happening from about the waist up. And you can feel that movement sort of right in the area of your hands, a few in one direction and then go the other way. It's almost as if the whole upper body is stirring in the pelvic girdle. Stop in center, and we'll keep our feet planted. Soften the knees a little bit because this time we're going to let the hips come into it. So we're really moving the entire body around in a big circle, and you'll notice that the hips come forward, a little bit of a stretch forward, and then there's a tiny bit of a flexing, a bending as my hips go back. We'll play around with that a little bit, letting the hips come forward and go back. Now you may or may not be circling the same direction as me, that's fine. Next time your hips come to the right, whether, let's see, come to your left is my right, but your left, whether your hips were forward or back, so let's mirror you. Let the hips kick out a little bit in that direction. Hand is on your hip, and then your opposite foot, so this is your left hand, left hip, your right foot turns out. And now you're in kind of a little teapot position. This is our setup for a short triangle. You might want to move your feet a little further apart, but let's keep it kind of narrow here. And then let your hip move toward that back elbow. And we'll play around a little bit with position of the arms here. You can keep them right as they are. You can reach the arms kind of in that cape motion, but keeping them a little more parallel with your body this time. You could have them more in a 90 degrees, so your right arm reaching out, left arm reaching up, and see how that feels. Or perhaps you like both arms reaching out and over to the side. So it takes a little bit of stamina, a little bit of effort with our legs, muscular action to hold us here. And also we're still stretching and trying to get a little bit more expansion, a little bit more mobility into some of those joints. Let's just take one more breath. And if you had your top arm up, bring it back to your hip. Use that hand to help you bring that hip in. Parallel your feet once more. And whatever way you were turning, so maybe you were turning somewhere toward your left side, let's start going the other direction. I think for me it's this way. Whether you were going clockwise or counterclockwise, you might have to get started again to sort of figure out what's the opposite direction for you. Doesn't matter so much. We're only trying to get our whole body into the action, invite all the muscles, all the joints. And sometimes we go one way by default, so it's great to practice a little bit. Going the other way, it might feel weird or awkward, and awkward is actually kind of good in yoga. Helps us get into the places we don't usually get. All right, one more rotation, whatever direction you're going in. And then let your right hip kick out to the right. Your right hand is on that hip. Remember that we turn the left toes so that they're facing out. And I like to call this triangle setup I'm a little teapot setup. So we're all familiar with that, right? Take your hips back. You can reach your spout forward if you'd like. So we start here. We're getting extension in both sides of the body. You may feel this down into your hips. You might feel it around your glute muscles, even in the lower back. Everything is certainly connected here. So if you like, reach out one arm, maybe both arms reach away from each other, kind of a T shape. On the first side, we did that little bit of a 90-degree shape. As I move my top arm, I felt that stretch shift down the side of my hip. You might feel that too. And then the other option is to reach both hands away. This requires a little bit more of an effort, a little bit more of a balance challenge. So choose whatever option is right for you today. The bottom hand could remain on the thigh or the hip for greater stability and support. And then when you're ready to come out, take the top hand back to the hip. Use that hand to help gently take your hip in. Find your feet back in your stable mountain-like position. And work on a little balance. We're never going to really leave the floor. We're going to practice shifting our weight on our feet. So first we shift our weight a little bit forward, and the weight is mostly over the ball of the feet. Let's just lift the heel of one foot. You can start on whatever side. Plant that heel back down and lift the heel of the other foot. A few times like that, planting the first heel down before lifting the other heel up. You might not think that this is balance work, but as soon as we start doing asymmetrical stuff with our body, balance has to kick in. And just if you've been sitting at your desk and your feet are in shoes, hopefully this feels nice. And then you can start taking this into more of a march. So sort of shifting, maybe you lift both heels up for a second as you go one to the other. Kind of marching that back and forth a few times. Now, if you're still wearing your work shoes or your daytime shoes, this might be a little more challenging. If you have socks on, just be careful about slipping. You can absolutely have a wall or a chair or a counter nearby for a little bit of a balance, your desk. That's completely fine. All right, now we're going to go the opposite way, and that means we're going to lift the toes and have the weight on the heels. So shift your weight slightly back so the weight is on both heels, and then lift one foot. My heel is staying down, my foot is coming up, or the toes are coming up. You might not be able to see that as well. Plant that back down, lift the other foot. It's fine to have a bend in the opposite leg. You might need that depending on your leg length. This is my shorter leg. And go back and forth like that a few times, planting the toes, the ball of the foot, and then lifting the toes, ball of the other. And then this is less of a march, but see if you can get into more of a rhythm with that. And as you do that, see if you can also isolate the movement mostly to your feet. So other parts of the body are going to want to help, and you can get in this little dance move. It's not wrong, and if it feels good, hey, go ahead and do that for your body. If you want to isolate that stretch more to your feet, try to minimize the movement of the rest of your body. So it's up to you. Okay, a couple more toe lifts on each side. All right, last part, we're going to go back and forth. So we rock forward and then lift both heels up, trying to minimize that shake in the ankles. It will happen. Arms can be anywhere. Heels down, weight a little back, and this is even tougher. Lift both sides, and I'm going to be unsteady, and that's completely fine. It's fine if they go down. And again, have that hand on a desk if you feel like you might fall over. We don't want that. A few more times in each direction. Now this feels easier, right? This is unsteady, but it's certainly easier than the heels down. Going back and lifting both ball of the feet up, both toes. Yeah, I have to practice that one. Let's do one more time each direction. Little tippy toes, balance there for a moment. Great for strengthening the ankles. We really get weak ankles from wearing shoes all the time. And then one more little weight back. Oh, all right, there we go. If you lost your balance like I did, remember, that's why we're practicing this, right? We're not trying to get better at it. We're trying to stimulate our reflexes and our flexibility. All right, last move for you today. It's going to be a little bit more mobility for the head, neck, and shoulders. And again, a little bit of spine like we did at the beginning. This time we're going to take our hands and interlace them somewhere at the base of the skull. So you might be able to feel the bottom of your skull with your thumbs. And hey, you can go ahead and give yourself a little massage there. That can feel really good. Let your hands be there and gently press the head back into the hands. So don't let the hands pull the head forward. We will be doing that, but give it some isometric contraction by pushing the head back into the hands so the head stays over the spine. And then we'll start with the movement isolated in the shoulders by opening the elbows and closing the elbows. They're probably not going to touch, mine are not. So feel that movement like we did in the beginning. Even though the arms are moving, that movement is coming from the shoulders. So as the elbows come forward, you might feel the shoulder blades widening apart to help with that movement. And as they go back, you might feel the activation of your upper back muscles, your shoulder blades drawing together. Now, just like we did in our arm swing movement in the beginning, we're going to start to add some breath to this, and then we'll start to add some spine. So next, open, breathe in and open. And as you exhale, bring the elbows together. You really don't need to change the breath. Adding in an element of breath awareness can help us be more mindful, start to feel more centered, start to be more engaged in the present moment. All right, last one, just focused on the breath, and then I'll turn side because once again, we're going to add that little bit of an upper back bend. Breathe in and open, reach the elbows apart, a little bit of the upper back moving toward the ground as the back of the shoulders engage, front of the body, the chest moving toward the ceiling. And then as you exhale, elbows together, and this time I end letting my neck be long in the back, not overly pulling on my head, but trying to get a rounded shape, more like a candy cane than a cat shape. So that's a big back, whole back. This I'm really isolating a bit more to the upper back, so you see that little candy cane hook. And then when I go the other direction, I'm trying to do the same thing. This is much less of a candy cane, more like maybe a little comma. All right, I'll face you again. Let's do a few more. Exhale. Inhale, and you might like to close your eyes with this. Don't be surprised if closing the eyes throws off the balance a little bit. That's natural. One more. Breathe in. Open up wide as you can get across the collarbones, across the front of your chest. Exhale, as much release as you can get. Let all that air exhale. And then while you're still in the chin down position, let your arms come down. Hang your arms for a moment. And then slowly, arms can be hanging loose. Begin to restack your spine, your upper back. Lastly, your neck, tucking your chin slightly so your neck is comfortable, supported on your head. So this was our quick lunch break for today. I have a whole lunch break series you might want to check out. Check out my other offerings as well. Like or subscribe and comment to tell me what you thought. It really helps me plan these routines for you. Have a great rest of your day.